But you know what I realized? Pain doesn't really bother me because I've got a fat ass and a bad attitude. House of Black, they claim to like pain. Well, I think it's time to find out, you spooky bitch, and I'm gonna choke you out! I'm gonna choke you out! Okay.
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries. I am your host, MagMongoSlade. Today, we're going to talk about this controversial, quote-unquote, t-shirt from Anna J, the fan response, and how it led to people wanting JR to be fired. So, what happened? You may be asking. Well, Rampage, what was this, April the 7th? There was a promo by Anna J of the Jericho Appreciation Society. It was very bad. It was top worst promo in AEW history. Was it up there with Sammy Guevara's really bad promos? Kinda. Was it up there with Marina Shafir? That one is kind of in a whole new stratosphere. It's its own genre of bad promo. So I'm not entirely sure it was that bad, but it was a pretty bad promo from Anna J, in which she said that she has a fat ass and a bad attitude. And okay, so there's a thing. She says, I got a fat ass and a bad attitude, yada yada. Okay. JR repeats the line during her turgid match with Julia Hart of the House of Black. So JR repeats the line that Anna J said. People want JR fired because he's a creep who was creeping on all of the young women and talking about their bodies. And so by Monday, so maybe this was Sunday night, which would have been the 9th, there's a new t-shirt for Anna J that says fat ass, bad attitude. And you know the AEW fan base, for some odd reason, they're a gaggle of virgins. So they can't handle that she likes this shirt. And she thinks that it works. And so people complained. So first, let's talk about this a little bit. For starters, the physical appearance of Anna J is one of the reasons why she even has a job. I mean, let's be honest. Anna J started in AEW, shortly after it began. She was very young. I think she was like in her really early 20s. She still is in her early 20s too, by the way. I think she maybe came in maybe a year or two in. She's been there like 2 or 3 years already. And she looks great. She has a great look. That's about it though. She hasn't really improved that much in the ring. She hasn't really improved at all in promo. She's still terrible. But she has physical potentials. Because she looks good. JR is hated by the AEW fan base, and pretty much every other week people are complaining about Jim Ross. So I'm not surprised that when a lot of people didn't even know that he was repeating what she said. You know, that's the sad part. There's so many people probably weren't even watching Rampage that they saw that a clip of Jim Ross talking about her ass, and then they tripped. He was like, oh no, how can he be doing that? But it was like, well, he's responding. He's trying to help her get this over. Or this was something that she said that people that connected with people. Let's push it. Let's push it a little bit. So it's very odd. But let's talk about some of the responses, because I don't want to be here all day with this, but I do want people to know that these are AEW fans who are mentally, I guess, handicapped, I guess you could say. One of them says, Jim Ross on commentary is not it. Always adding nothing, always sounding disgruntled about his position, always mentioning a woman's attractiveness, and always insulting the art of wrestling, and at times the wrestlers themselves. And you know it's bad when most of the time the commentary team just ignores his remarks. Also, he never does any research, and that could be okay at times, but he always just learning things on air. Yeah, well, that's kind of how Jim Ross works. You know, he has almost always said that he never really wanted to know things before it happened. So, That's kind of how it is. But people are kind of like this with Booker T too on NXT. Like Booker T is kind of confused. He always has a who is that sort of attitude. Because he doesn't really like follow the product that closely. Like he doesn't follow the product that closely. This leads to people saying, does Jim Ross know anything about the AEW roster? And that's not a single thing is the response. His only research involves staring at the females. So they think he's a pervert. You know, it's really sad. This is how they've been doing for Jim Ross for like 3 years now. Pretty much at least once a year for 3 years. Jim Ross says something or has a performance that leads to him wanting to get kicked off Rampage. Here's another one. Also, my God, Jim Ross has been horrendous tonight. And people wonder why he's relegated there. So he says, I don't want to know why no one has talked to him about toning down the sexual or sexist stuff. It's not like malicious or anything, I don't think. It's just old-fashioned in a way that is just awful. It is old-fashioned. And I don't know what these people are talking about. Is he supposed to be talking about a weird genderless person in the ring? You know, I know people have been upset about the Jezebel thing for a couple of years. But, which is but what's the problem? That's what I want to know. Like, what is the problem? Should we tone down the Goliath things for big guys? Because, well, it's old-fashioned. We need to tone it down a little bit. Like, you know, what is the problem here? Apparently he also said, he kept mentioning how old Billy Starks is, you know, the teenager that they have on this roster. Well, one of the teenagers that they have on this roster. They have two of them, by the way. I'm talking like absolutely barely adults, teenagers. It says, you think less than 1 hour a week he'd stop doing weird stuff like casually burying the programming or reminding us Billy is 18 years old every line for 5 minutes. But nope. Loved the guy for up until like 18 months ago. But the nostalgia isn't worth the casual burials. What is he talking about? They mentioned that Billy Starks is 18 because that's really her selling point. You know, her being a young prodigy, sort of in wrestling, is really the reason why everybody talks about how old she is. I mean, it's her biggest, that's the only thing you could talk about because she hasn't really achieved anything yet. She hasn't talked about anything yet. So if you talk about how old she is, you could basically say, okay, well, she's kind of a rookie. She's kind of new to this. She's kind of good, but she's new to this. But apparently throw that out the window. Don't mention how old she is. I don't know. Here's another one. His last few times on commentary, he's gone from being a bit annoying to being actively harmful to the viewing experience. It's time for him to go. Oh, sheesh. He says, oh my God, fam, just put him in a retirement home at this point along with his homie Jerry Lawler. When he started calling Ray Phoenix's move ballet, I almost put my face through the TV. Homie called the Twist of Fate a DDT. Well, that was I didn't hear that because I didn't really watch Rampage, so I don't know. I think I may have had Battle of the Belts on in the background or somewhere. I didn't watch it that closely, but I didn't pay any attention to any of this stuff because wrestling commentary is generally pretty bad nowadays. I mean, it's really bad. JR, stop saying Jezebel and talking about the women's looks, please. You're never too old to be better. I mean, he's a very horny. He's an old man. He's a very horny. What does that mean? I don't know what that means. Does anybody know what that means? So that's the kind of bottom-feeding audience that Jim Ross upsets when he's on commentary talking about the female wrestlers. May you love something in your life as one day as much as Jim Ross loves saying Jezebel. Jim Ross really deflating every show he's called in the past decade or so. Wow. Look, he's in his mid-70s. He doesn't really have the energy that he used to have anymore. I get it. You know, I'm not going to sit here and act like, you know, Jim Ross is perfectly fine. I'm not saying that at all. But to say something like, quote, Jim Ross ruins every broadcast he's on, and you can tell nobody wants him there because of all the dead air he creates after he comments. Let it go. To say something like that, at this point, Jim Ross is only saying ridiculous things because it's evident he's watching a ridiculous product. It's like, well, yes, but he's still in his 70s. You know, he doesn't have the energy anymore. This guy I think he went through skin cancer or something like that. I mean, I said Jim Ross should have retired a couple of years ago so he wouldn't have to deal with this kind of abuse from these kids in, you know, the AEW audience. Why would he continue to lend his name to this product and they don't appreciate it? It seems silly. And again, in this, when it comes to this Anna Jay situation, he was only repeating something that Anna Jay said. That's really all it was. He was repeating something that Anna Jay said. And it's something that she even tweeted. She tweeted about it on April the 1st. So this has been going on for quite a while before he repeated it. And he's a horny man. He's got a problem. He's this, he's that. It's like, look, this is ridiculous, you know? But it should, on top of that, it couldn't be more ridiculous if the anti-AEW guys didn't get involved too. Like, that's really kind of what makes a controversy is when the two sides collide. Jim Ross has just been something that the AEW fan base has been throwing tomatoes at him for a couple of years now. But when it comes to the Anna Jay ass situation, there's people who are like, Anna Jay has a great ass. And then other people who's like, Anna Jay has no ass. And it's like, well, look, it would be a lie to say she's not shapely. But it's not in any way what people are expecting when you think of fat ass. You know, like, it's nice, but it's probably natural. As opposed to the usual fake big asses that most people would see on TV. But her trying to make her ass her selling point has led to a lot of people being negative about it. Both on the AEW side and on the anti-AEW side. Both of which are equally retarded. This is probably the crown jewel of responses to the Anna Jay ass situation. And I hate to read it first, but I really want people to understand the level of individuals that we're dealing with here. Her ass is great. The shirt is cringe, like 99% of wrestling shirts. What kind of fag is walking around wearing a Scissor Me Daddy ass shirt? Wrestling is doomed because it's being geared towards geeks who live on the internet and have no friends. Oh, right. You know, absolutely. Absolutely. She doesn't even understand that she doesn't even have a bad attitude. She's just slightly irritated. It's objectifying for me to endorse. I don't even understand what that means. I don't understand what that means. Somebody says, even Ty Mello has more ass than Anna Jay. This shirt is all wrong. I'm not going to get into yes, Ty Mello has a bigger ass than Anna Jay. You know, she absolutely does. She has a better ass too. But still, come on. You know, it's just a t-shirt. Why do we need to turn everything into a cat fight? It's just a t-shirt, bro. I just personally think it's pretty weird that some AEW fans think these otherwise beautiful white women have huge asses when they do not. It's a very strange phenomenon. Look, nobody said that she's got like a huge donkey ass, like she's got a BBL or anything like that. But let's say in the 1970s or something like that, they would have said she needed to lose some weight back there. You know, they would have said the same thing about Ty. You know, back before big asses was a thing that people was really into, they probably would have said for her to lose it. The fat ass debate is like, are there fatter asses? Absolutely. That doesn't mean she doesn't have a nice ass. Come on. But I think that everybody's, of course, just getting so wrapped up in this whole thing. It's ridiculous, you know. I can't believe they're fighting over this. Like, can you believe that they're actually fighting over this? Here, are you fucking insane? Anna Jay has a Hall of Fame ass. This is something they've chosen to die on. They've chosen to fight on the hill of whether Anna Jay has a fat ass or not. It's ridiculous. For starters, you shouldn't even be taking Anna Jay seriously. You see how bad her matches are? You see how terrible her promo is? Like, her promo was so ungodly bad that the only thing anybody can glean from it is that she got a big ass and a bad attitude. That's the only thing anybody could glean from, and she cursed a couple of times. Anna Jay is absolutely awful. She's awful. In the match with Julia Hart, I saw clips of it that make me want to spit roast my own eyeballs. It was that bad. Everything about this thing is awful. Anna Jay saying she's got a fat ass and a bad attitude and calling someone a spooky bitch in less than a week is this generation's version of Stone Cold Steve Austin's Austin 3:16 and I just whooped your ass. And that's the bottom line because Stone Cold says so on the same night. These people need lives. They need lives. What are you doing? Why would you come up with this in your brain? Why are you sitting back even considering what Anna Jay is talking about? Did you hear the way that she talks, apparently? She talks bad. It wasn't good. It wasn't good. It was said with the least amount of confidence possible. I don't know, man. But the simps are going to do their thing. The anti-simps are going to do their thing. I don't get it. I just wish that they didn't drag Jim Ross into this because Jim Ross didn't ask for this. He was just trying to help the girl who clearly is trying to get this thing over. She's tweeted it. She said it in promos like 2 or 3 times. That's all he was trying to do was help the kid get it over. And all of a sudden, it's a big issue. It's a big problem. And it's like, well, look, can we at least put it into context that he's trying to help these women? That these women want to be known for this. Again, this is what Anna Jay is proud of. This is what Anna Jay wants out there to the world. Why are we attacking Jim Ross over this? Somebody said that the King rubbed off on JR bad. What you mean, man? He can catch on. He's not slow. He's just old. He caught on to that. That's what this young woman wants to do. And he's trying to aid her in this situation. It feels bad. Feels bad, man. But, wrestling fans are a gaggle of virgins. A lot of them are really weird. But, yes, there are people who are nicer asses than Anna Jay. There are certainly people who are better looking than Anna Jay. But that doesn't mean that she can't have a nice ass. Doesn't mean she can't try to come up with a trademark that fits what, I guess, the character that she's going for. Jim Ross didn't do anything wrong. He's trying to help her with this character that she's created or whatever. And try to help her sell some t-shirts. I mean, that's all it really boils down to. It's the little girl trying to sell some t-shirts. She wants to sell some gimmicks. Why we got to go through all this? Because there are some people who are uncomfortable with how she chooses to push herself. And then there's other people who, I guess, want her to be like some kind of great wrestler, which she's not really. She's awful. What it boils down to is kind of like this. Somebody mentioned that the AEW fan base once was complaining about how sexualized the NXT women are and how it's hypocrisy that Ty Mello and Anna Jay and a couple of other women in AEW are now selling shirts like this. And I think it's a good point to mention because, again, I remember reading an article where they said that NXT is essentially porn. I think you remember this, right? If you don't remember that, then go into the annals of the channel. I believe it was actually it was such a ridiculous article. I read it during an NXT review. So you probably have to go through the NXT reviews. And it was in there. It's so bad that it was from what culture? There was such prudes. It's almost Victorian England level ridiculousness. And what kind of wrestling fans would think that way about people showing their shoulder and women wearing tights? It's like women wearing tights to show off their figure. Oh my God. Did somebody get lynched? Like, what do you expect them to do with their tights? Of course they're going to show off their figure. Why wouldn't they? You know, men don't do that. Some men don't. Let's be honest. Some men do. But yeah, women, they wear clothes to accentuate their bodies. You know, they're going to wear shirts that are going to accentuate their breasts and hips and all that kind of stuff. That's what they do. And the idea that, of course, Athena came out and was like, oh, they were showing us how to dress like Mandy Rose. And they were running with that for several weeks. It was ridiculous for a little while there. It wasn't looking very good on the AEW side. And they attacked NXT relentlessly over this. Now Anna Jay is pretty much a female wrestler that's only really known for her ass and bad attitude, but mostly her ass. Because again, she wrestles like shit. And her promos are basically something that if you listen to them for more than a second or two, you would want to wish you were deaf. All right. That promo would be bad in sign language. That's how bad that promo was. It would be so awful that if you read it, it was still bad. Okay. You don't even need to hear it. You could just understand it's bad from watching it on mute. It was that bad. You know, again, not quite Marina Shafir. Like Marina Shafir is like, you know, that's his own planet. This is more like the moon of the Marina Shafir planet. It's that bad. But we're not talking about the quality of her promo, which is awful, by the way. It can't be said enough how bad it is. We're talking about the content of which, where she says, I have a fat ass and a bad attitude. They decided to make a t-shirt of it. And Jim Ross decided to repeat it, to try to help the girl get it over. And then it was a bonfire as people complained for hours and hours and hours. For 2 days, people bitched about this. I really wish these people would get a life. Get a life. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Ugh.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They just